If anyone asks why I don't know something, even though I've been alive a long time, it's because I was shut in doing magic research. That will be the basis of my King of Darkness character. Then do you have any old weapons? Osk didn't he even try to conceal his curiosity. Of course I do, but I can just give them to you. I would pay the appropriate price, or I could even swing 3 times the going rate. Ain't couldn't he immediately refuse. He remembered how very unreliable the inside of his wallet was. But as a king, he couldn't say, okay, here you go. Money doesn't do much for me. Certainly, toward a king such as yourself, that was a rather impolite thing to say. My sincerest apologies. So what would you be willing to trade for? Could I have him praise the actions of my country, or something like that? In which case Aints took out a dagger. It oozed a shimmering haze effect. The slightly transparent blade was made of blue crystal. The magic inside it was only so-so, but overall it was still an upper-grade magic item and immensely powerful compared to the average items circulating in this world. There were 2 voices. What in the? Ainzak was staring wide-eyed at the dagger too. Aints murmured and set the dagger in front of Ainzak. It's yours. What? Once again there were 2 voices. Ainzak, it's a reward for your services. But I am not conferring it on you, and it's not a guarantee of your status. I gave it to you because it's the type of reward I'd like to be able to give in the kind of country I am hoping to have. If you'd rather have money, I don't mind if you sell it. Given the size of the data, it wasn't a weapon that could kill Aints, and it wasn't a sentimental weapon that one of his guildmates had created for him, either. I don't think I can accept such a powerful. Ainzak was shaking. It's not really that great. Well, if you want to accept it, I'll give you something else later. Perhaps a potion for healing wounds. Ainzak hesitated for a long time, then took the dagger. I accept. Thank you, your majesty. I'll do my best to serve you and live up to this blade. Congrats, Ainzak. If you ever need anything, I hope you'll remember your friend here, Osk said, glancing at the dagger. But Ainzak made a face. He looked like a mother dog protecting her pup. Never, I definitely will not. Aints changed the tone of his voice slightly. All right, shall we get down to business? Osk reluctantly ripped his eyes away from Ainzak, wrapping the blade in a handkerchief, and agreed. Understood. What did you come to talk to me about today? I am not very good at making things flowery, so I'll get straight to the point. I want you to set up a fight in the arena with the Martial King for me. Osk's eyes widened slightly, but then immediately returned to their previous expression. I heard that the Martial King doesn't belong to the arena. He is your pet swordsman. Ainzak told me that if you gave me permission to fight the Martial King, the card could be drawn up right away. Hoo ha 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 ha. Are you serious, your majesty? The Martial King is the strongest man in the arena. He has the body of a monster and the skills of a warrior. He is probably the strongest ever. I am sure you have strong subordinates, but against this guy, Osk boastfully shook his head. Is he stronger than Fluda? No, they have to be in the warrior division. Casters are no good. I absolutely refuse anyone flying through the sky firing off spell after spell. Aints hesitated when Osk began to grumble, but Ainzak explained, once there was an adventurer team that won by flying and using bows and other long-distance attacks. It really killed the mood. Since then, fly, teleport, and other spells like that have been prohibited. By that time, Osk had returned to himself and looked at Aints. Ahem, do excuse me, your majesty. I recalled a bitter memory. Okay, so who do you want the Martial King to fight? A human. Aints and Ainzak exchanged a glance. Then Aints answered me. Aints Ulgaun will be his opponent. A period of time passed in total silence. Osk was utterly flustered and said, but your majesty, you're a king of a country. Yes, yeah, but I understand your concern. You're thinking about what happens if I get injured, right? He pretended he couldn't hear Osk murmur, if injured is all, that be fine, under his breath. Relax, I want to make an issue out of it no matter what happens to me, and I'll draw up paperwork to that point. But if something like that happened, I'd be out of business. Word on the street is, the Empire and the Nation of Darkness are allies. If the king of our allied nation got severely injured, the country would hate me. I promise I won't cause you any trouble like that. You can say that, but Osk seemed to think a bit before continuing. This isn't the right way to put it, but could you offer something as collateral? Collateral. Such as, please lend me something like you gave Ainzak earlier. If anything happens, I can have it, and I'll be fine with that. If that works for you, I'll make that promise. But I can give it to you right now. I promise to deliver it tomorrow. Thank you, Your Majesty. May I ask you a question? Aints waved a hand to gesture that he should continue. As an entertainment manager, I collect a lot of information, especially about the powerful people and monsters I am going to have appear at the arena. Among those rumors is one about you, Your Majesty. Is it true that you killed tens of thousands of kingdom subjects with a single spell? Ainzak coughed, seemingly on purpose. He was shooting an accusatory glare at Osk, but Aints wasn't trying to hide, and he wasn't ashamed to talk about it. That's right. I killed them with my magic. Are you going to condemn me? No, I just wanted to hear how much magic power you have. It would be extremely bad if you used a spell like the one in the rumors. The arena is in the capital, you know. No, of course I wouldn't use that sort of spell. Not even Aints would use that spell in the middle of an allied country's capital. What kind of terrorist would that make him? Naturally, that's what I thought. Your Majesty is so intelligent. You hardly think you're an undead. You don't seem like the type to hate life and perpetrate huge massacres. Just sometimes I screw up by neglecting to check something that seems obvious. Aints felt the same way. That was always the danger when someone new came in. Actually, Satoru Suzuki had made mistakes like that too. It's only natural to think along those lines. I'll say it once more, I wouldn't use that sort of spell. Why not? Does it have something to do with the positions of the stars? It has nothing to do with anything like that. A little light bulb went on in Aints' head. It is actually my most powerful ace move. Sir Elnix earnestly wished it, so I had no choice but to use a major spell. I can only cast it once every 10 years, so now I have to save up energy for 10 years. Oh ho, a strange light twinkled in Osk's eyes. Are you sure it was okay to tell me that? In a way, you just revealed a weak point, Your Majesty. It is fine. Even if I can use that destructive of a spell, it is simple for me to kill any fools who antagonize me. It is not as though all my magic is incapacitated, you know. I expect nothing less from the King of Darkness. So you're saying it would be a simple matter for you to defeat the Martial King, is that right? When Aints nodded boastfully, Osk plastered on a smile. Aints couldn't tell by looking if it was genuine or not. I see. There's one more thing I'd like to ask, please. Why do you want to fight the Martial King? I heard he was strong. I want to know if he is stronger than Gazef Stronov. In the kingdom there was Gazef, so how about in the Empire? I was curious. That's the biggest factor. Of course, that wasn't actually the reason he was fighting. It was the result of his meeting with Ainzak. Aints wouldn't mind telling the truth, but he didn't feel like he could trust this guy. He seemed like someone who would prioritize his own interests. He judged that opening up to a person like that wouldn't yield very good results. I understand, thank you. Aints was going to continue, but Osk held up a hand to stop him. Let us set you up for a match with the Martial King, Your Majesty. But Aints was going to thank him. Osk continued. You must follow the rules of the arena, and even if it is a serious fight for you and the Martial King, for us, it is entertainment. A one-sided fight is no fun, so I want you to fight him with a sword, weapons, no magic. I humbly propose that we'll make it a good match. What? Ainzak leaped to his feet. His face was flushed with anger. Who could do that? His Majesty the King of Darkness is a caster. How do you expect him to win like that? Oh ho, right. Even the King of Darkness won't be able to win if his magic is sealed away. What an uninspired suggestion. But I didn't expect you to say something like that. I didn't think you cared whether His Majesty won or not. It seems I need to adjust my perspective on that. Why you, Ainzak, don't get all excited. I am fine with it. Your Majesty, what did you say? Aints let a chuckle slip out. It was funny the way Ainzak and Osk both looked at him, but he worried it sounded like a scoff, so he rushed to gloss it over by adding a few more audible nose breaths. It was impossible, with just holes in his skull. He quit trying and decided to gloss it over with words instead. Apparently, you didn't hear me. This is what I said, it is fine by me. Osk's expression didn't change, but it was clear that his head was hard at work. He asked, is that a promise on your honor? You want me to swear on my honor? All right. I ain't gown, swear not to use any magic during the fight with the Martial King. Ainzak commented, wait a moment. Your Majesty, you can make a promise like that without even seeing what the Martial King can do. Ainzak's comment was certainly true. But if the information he had on the Martial King was reliable, then he didn't seem like such a challenge. Ain't said, well, I am sure it'll work out somehow. Ainzak replied, surely somehow isn't good enough. Aints was a little moved by Ainzak's comeback. Since he became the ruler of the great tomb of Nazarick, no one had given him their opinion in that way. As Momon, he had gotten a bit of it at first, but once his rank jumped, it stopped completely. Ainzak continued, and you'll be in awfully hot water if the king of another country dies in the Empire's arena. That's true. Aints and Osk looked at each other. Well, it's only natural that you would say that. What do you think, your majesty? I don't mind if you take your loyal retainer's advice and back out. In response, Aints shrugged. He could understand Ainzak's concern, but he was the one who came up with this idea. He may have planned it with Ainzak in mind, but did he really think Aints was so weak without magic? It's no problem. Or rather, Ainzak, you're embarrassing me, so quit shouting. And Osk, there's something I am not clear on. How would my death benefit you? Osk blinked. It wasn't endearing at all for a man of his age to react that way. There seems to be a misunderstanding, your majesty. There's not a single benefit for me. As the guildmaster said, the cons are far greater. He must just really have been thinking as a promoter and not scheming to have Aints fight at a disadvantage. I see. Then that's fine. Do you have a way to win against the Martial King without magic? He is stronger than Gaze of Stronov. Stronov, I was jealous of how strong he was. Aints noticed Ainzak next to him looking shocked, but he continued his reminiscence. If the Martial King is stronger than him, I'll need to be on my guard. But I am saying he is strong in terms of his heart, not his combat ability. If you're saying the Martial King is stronger than Stronov in terms of brawn, then it will be a simple matter for me to kill him instantly. I see. By the way, I have an additional answer to your question from before. Osk lifted his arms up, his meaty arms with no hanging flab. I love pitting sword against sword and fist against fist. But I don't have a crumb of aptitude for hand-to-hand combat, so I can win even if I work hard. So I had an idea. I could create a warrior to represent me and have him win. Osk sneered in satisfaction. His face was no longer that of a merchant. It was the face of a human being. Aints had never met a human this strange before, but he knew everyone had their quirks. This guy has a weird fetish, thought Aints. He created a folder for deviants and put Osk in it, which is why, if you lose to the Martial King who I trained, it will feel amazing for me. Oh, Osk and Ainzak both looked at him in surprise. You guys have been acting weird for a while now, thought Aints. Don't make that strange face at me. If there is something you want to say, go ahead. And no, just is that all? I have no idea what you want from me, Osk. I really do struggle to comprehend humans. So is that all mean you wanted me to say something else? Then how about this? Will you be happy to win against me if I don't use any magic? Aints didn't really get it, but Osk seemed a bit confused. That is, I don't really care for magic, that much I see. So that's where this conversation ends. Osk and Ainzak exchanged glances. He thought, if someone wants to say something, they should spit it out. But this was how society worked. If someone without much right to speak revealed their honest feelings, they would be tucked away somewhere. They wouldn't cause too much trouble. We've spoken so far without concealing anything, so let us continue to be open and to the point. When can I fight the Martial King? If possible, I'd like it to be a major event. Then I'll announce at today's match that a challenger has appeared. We can set it up right away, but I'd like to keep your identity a secret until right before the fight. I can fathom why. Isn't that kind of a waste as a promoter? The king of an allied country appearing at the arena flies in the face of common sense. I didn't hear anything about a welcoming ceremony. Are you doing it later on? Aints looked down in spite of himself. Crap. Thankful for his lack of a heart, Aints spun up the gears of the undead brain he had somewhere in his empty skull. Then he shrugged casually. I snuck in, so Sorel Nix probably doesn't know I am here. Osk's face was devoid of expression. He must have sniffed out something fishy. As a merchant, he surely had a nose for profit. He wouldn't go along with this if there were only losses for him. Understood. If I publicize the fact that your majesty is the challenger, people will surely poke their noses in, so I'll keep it a secret. Any issues that come up after that I am putting squarely on you. Of course, you can leave all of that up to me. Okay, then can I have a bit of your time? Let us decide the date of your fight. Has he gone? Yes, sir, the butler answered Osk's question. He had returned after seeing off the King of Darkness. I see, he said, his eyes shifting to the maid behind the butler. Decapitation bunny. What? He cocked his head. Yes, it was a man who looked very good in a maid uniform. According to him, there were two benefits to wearing women's clothing. Opponents would underestimate him, and they wouldn't attack his crotch. Apparently, it was only that, and not his preference. He often made such adorable gestures, like the one just now. Was it so groundless to wonder if he actually liked it? Osk wasn't particularly put off by it, so he didn't care either way, but still. Now then, his nickname was Decapitation Bunny. It didn't go with his cute appearance at all. He was a mercenary warrior and assassin known by that name, hailing from a country east of the city-state alliance. Osk had paid a fortune to summon and contract him. He had personal escort deals with other worker teams and swordsmen, but this man was paid more than anyone. That's how strong he was, at least orichalcum level. And since hiring him, Osk hadn't gotten mixed up in any trouble. Tell me what you think. Having seen the King of Darkness, he possessed other abilities besides the ones he had as a first-rate warrior and assassin. He could see through people. He had the power to appraise people, which came from all the bloodbaths he had fought through. As a warrior and assassin, he could tell who was strong. He.s. transcendently yikes. The only other one to ever get that rating was the Martial King. This was the second person this man couldn't defeat. The next level down were the Empire S4, and they were impressive. Is he a powerful warrior as well? I don't know. From his footsteps he didn't seem strong. They weren't the footfalls of someone trained as a warrior or assassin. The older fellow next to him was more of a warrior, but yikes. I felt sick when he was standing behind me. I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could. He quietly showed off his arms. Osk's eyes were drawn to his fists. They were round fists. Perhaps he had punched tens of thousands of times into blunt objects. His fists had transformed into perfect spheres. They were the hands of a fighting creature. Osk shuddered, unable to hold back his arousal. What are you looking at, pervert? I was just thinking you had nice hands. He was really into hands, but Decapitation Bunny wasn't his type. Sex wasn't a big issue, but Osk's ideal was the warrior from the Blue Roses. Decapitation Bunny wasn't bad, but he was simply too slight compared to Gagarin. The Martial King was a bit too thick-headed. I want to renew my contract for next year. I can have that. There's practically no one on your level. The woman heading up Igenia is about the only one. Oops, we ray off topic. So Osk averted his eyes from those round fists and looked up. Decapitation Bunny had goosebumps. I still don't feel better. I am really sick to my stomach. So he's not much of a warrior, but still a dangerous opponent. He's honestly another Martial King. Osk realized what Decapitation Bunny meant. He really was another Martial King. In this world there were strong races and weak races. The weak races, including humanity, were meat bags. They had neither special powers nor hard armor protecting their bodies. They couldn't even see in the dark. Meanwhile, a strong race was one like the dragons. Protected by hard scales, they were agile but immensely powerful physically. Their claws and fangs could easily cut through steel. They possessed special abilities like fire and chill breath. They had wings for soaring across the sky. As a species, they didn't need to train as warriors to be strong. Decapitation Bunny was saying that the King of Darkness might be from a race like that. Osk's knowledge said that undead were physically weak, but apparently the King of Darkness was different. Sir Osk, why did you take on this fight? The King of Darkness probably knows about the Martial King, but we don't know anything about what he can do. It seems to me the odds are against you. What, you don't know why? Decapitation Bunny said in exasperation. If it were me, I wouldn't be thinking about that nonsense. The butler's questioning eyes turned to Osk, so he smiled and answered. Are you saying the champion should run from a challenger? Is that all? That's all, but it's important. If it were just to have a fight to the death, I wouldn't do it. But having a challenge declared as a match means I can run away. I am sure the Martial King would agree. You're so stupid. Maybe, that's what it is to be a man, but we've seen that His Majesty is the type to put more of his powers on display outside a match setting. So would you rather fight him in a match setting or in a secret fight where anything goes? Neither, thanks. I'll curl my tail between my legs and run away. Osk smiled. That was the smartest move. All righty. Now it's your turn. What did you think of the king? It wasn't the tone to use with one's superior, but the butler standing behind him didn't change his expression. He used to give off a silent disapproval. You shouldn't talk that way to your employer, but at some point that had dropped off. Perhaps it was since the time Decapitation Bunny picked off an assassin. He does have charisma, HRRRM. Decapitation Bunny made a strange sound. Osk had been watching Ainzak, but there was no sign of him being forced to do anything. In other words, the King of Darkness had something that made the people of a city he had occupied want to cooperate with him only a few months after being conquered. Did you see how confident he was? He definitely knows he is strong. You can see it in the way he didn't bring anyone besides Ainzak, the way he was able to promise not to use magic against the martial king.